Welcome back, Foxy Games UK new and existing subscribers. It is Tuesday, August 13. I'm Fox, your reliable source of aggregated video game news, speculation and rampant rumour. Now, substantial gaming news has been pretty scarce of late, hence no video yesterday, and I'm sure it's because of the time of year, a time when the games industry is pretty hush-hush due to upcoming events, such as Gamescom and others, or perhaps it's typically quieter toward the end of any given generation, with an exception or two. Indeed, during slow news days or weeks even, one's creativity is truly tested. I confess sometimes slow news days can be a benefit, since it affords me the time to go out and socialise and enjoy the on and off sunny spells of the great British summer. Still, the show must go on. Today's news was sourced via a piece published over at cultureofgaming.com. Go check it out. And I gotta tell you, it really grabbed my attention. For the full article, you can find a link in this video's description. So yeah, it won't be long until the next generation of consoles wind up at our door. It's probably time to start debunking some of the, shall we say, more common myths leading up to the exciting next generation of home consoles. We're still a little ways off from getting our collective hands on these powerful systems, right? But that hasn't stopped some YouTube channels and even the press media from totally exaggerating or overly high or low expectations in what these new platforms are capable of. You could say in some quarters the rumor mill is spinning out of control, particularly but not exclusive to some of the more recent migrants from Xbox focused channels. Of course, I'm not dropping any names, but I'm sure most of you will know where I'm going with this. Say no more. Now, in terms of what you can realistically expect from Sony's next PlayStation or Microsoft's next-gen Xbox, the Xbox Scarlett, well, you can kind of take a peek at what's currently available or imminently going to be available on the bleeding edge of PC hardware, and pretty much see how much of that technology makes it into the next generation of consoles. Now, I appreciate a lot of you following this channel will have already been informed on some of the following, though it's also important to recognize we have a lot of fairly recent or totally new subscribers joining the Foxy Games family, so please bear that in mind. I'm also going to throw in a few PS5 extras into the fray, stuff you may not know yet, so you might want to stick around. We'll pretty much be focusing on the macro level stuff, since I covered a lot of this in prior videos, and to be honest, why bother sweat the small things, right? Okay, so with that being said, ray tracing immediately stands out, and we already know some PC graphics cards already support this game-changing graphic technology. In fact, some media outlets are claiming ray tracing is the next big thing since the leap from 2D visuals to 3D. So yes, both Sony and Microsoft's next-gen consoles will definitely support ray tracing. Now, ray tracing was introduced to the masses back in 2018 via Nvidia's RTX series of GPUs. Ray tracing provides an extra level of graphical fidelity, but at an insane performance cost. So these next-gen consoles will either be incredibly powerful, or the implementation of ray tracing will likely be used rather sparingly and look rudimentary compared to its PC counterpart. I'm going to settle for somewhere between the two for a happy medium, though my expectations are in check. Now, to mitigate the cost of the ray tracing technology, Nvidia implemented unique cores into their RTX GPUs. Nvidia's primary competitor AMD, incidentally the company both Sony and Microsoft partnered with for PS4, upcoming PS5, Xbox One X and the upcoming Scarlett, has chosen a totally different approach. In an interview given earlier in 2019, AMD's CEO Lisa Su stated how they were definitely working on ray tracing, but are taking more of a software-sided approach to it. Something Foxy Games UK reported many times, that ray tracing on console at least will be a combo of hardware and software. Now, in an earlier statement from AMD, the company said that by increasing the software backend for ray tracing, they could have an easier time bringing it to older GPUs and presumably console. Now, next-gen consoles, Xbox Scarlett and the PlayStation 5 will utilize third-generation Ryzen CPU processors and the new Navi graphics architecture, enabling AMD to be able to implement some form of ray tracing into console hardware, especially considering AMD's efforts to bring ray tracing to lower performing PC chips. So next-gen load-in times will be near instant. Well, yeah, sure, both next-gen offerings from Sony and Microsoft will have solid-state drives, a much faster form of storage than the current mechanical hard drives used in current-gen consoles. And of course, this makes sense. An SSD, really, the prices have gotten low enough that even budget PC builds can include them. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that SSD prices will be even lower by the time these next-gen systems make it into mass production. So here's where I'm going to offer some new PlayStation 5 info info that I've sat on for some time, and I may or may not have loosely mentioned it in an old The Gamer Couch podcast episode, but it probably went over everybody's head because I haven't mentioned it since, and I haven't seen no other outlets talking about it. So for contextual purposes or for total noobs, SSDs offers noticeably faster load times than regular hard drives, though the improvement is mostly on a game-by-game basis. Now, a good example could be Battlefield's loading system. Under the current implementation of the Frostbite engine, Battlefield unpacks and loads the entirety of levels and maps before you enter the game. And sure, that makes total sense for first-person shooters, though the downside is it puts a significant load on whatever drive is being used to load said level or map. Even using a fast SSD, a multiplayer conquest map in Battlefield 1 takes around a minute to load. However, on regular mechanical hard drives, this number can exceed more than 3 minutes, and for many, game time is precious. Now, on the flip side, games like Insomniac's Spider-Man, or games that only load really portions at a time, don't have very much to unpack during loading screens. As a result, the loading times in Spider-Man are already near instant and further improved when running on PlayStation 5 dev kits using an SSD. Now, there are other downsides to using SSDs, and that is its capacity issues. Considering digital downloads and installs from disks can and often do exceed 100 GB of space, and this is only going to increase with new consoles. Therefore, more storage is fundamentally important. Maybe you're like me and just can't be asked to constantly sit through the tiresome, mundane process of uninstalling and re-downloading your games, a major inconvenience for many this gen, hence why I upgraded to 2 terabytes. Now, Microsoft's long-term answer to the storage issue is probably in-game streaming over the cloud, and that's not to say that Xbox Scarlett won't utilize SSDs, because Microsoft already officially confirmed that it will. Sony have decided that in the short term at least, the trade-off is worth it. And here's where things get interesting. I was surprised to discover that quite a lot of gamers engaging social media platforms like, say, Twitter, seem to believe PS5 will launch with a 500 GB or even 1 terabyte SSD. Oh, bless their cotton socks. But no, that will cost really way too much for a home console, and will certainly not be the case. With all the information that I have and everything that it points to, expect PS5 and Xbox Scarlett to offer hybrid drives, a combination of SSD and older mechanical variants. Most of the storage capacity will be found in the regular mechanical hard drive, possibly up to 2 terabytes, and the lesser storage will be found in the SSD. Go figure. Expect an SSD ready to coming in at a maximum 128 gigabytes. Even that sounds like an awful lot, but I'd be very surprised if that figure is higher, because price will be an issue. The SSD will really act as a memory cache, so that loading screens are unnoticeable or non-existent. In fact, the SSD will store 1 or 2 levels of linear or open world areas, so the user is playing uninterrupted, while the slower, older mechanical hard drive will just keep feeding that SSD, and the SSD storage is beginning to max out, so then it begins to overwrite and store new data, and so forth. I think you get the cycle. So yes, next gen hybrid hard drive storage solutions will be the order of the day. Now let's move on to something causing somewhat of a controversy among gaming communities, and that is 8K. First of all, kudos to Taylor Evans, a writer of said sourced article, who wrote, "I really want to know what the engineers told marketing so they could spin this." Taylor Swift sense of humor there, referring to whether true 8K is realistically achievable on next-gen console platforms, and unless you're talking smaller indie projects that kind of use low polygon counts and pixels, the answer is an obvious no. Of course, we won't experience native 8K in AAA big budget graphically intensive games. That would be ludicrous. In retrospect, it was Microsoft's E3 2019 announcement video that famously claimed its next-gen console will output 8K. That's a whopping 7680 x 4320 resolution. Go figure. Now, looking at PC gaming metrics for the moment, as per the Steam user hardware survey, full HD resolution, that's 1920 by 1080, the current standard, is still what a majority of PC gamers use. While this number is slowly going down, ascending up the resolution list, we see the percentage of shares of higher resolution decrease. Fewer and fewer people have made the move to 2K, that's 2560 x 1440, or Ultra HD 4K 3840 by 2160. So, PC gamers, who are the only ones with the hardware really available to truly drive full-on and consistent native 4K rendering across the run of play, are only only just beginning to adopt Ultra HD gaming. While graphics technology has improved, no doubt, it hasn't improved absolute leaps and bounds so that rendering 8K is possible and affordable for a home console. Besides that, 8K displays, whether it be monitors or TVs, aren't widely available yet. While the market will grow over time, 8K displays will still have an absolutely abysmal market share by the time the next gen consoles release, and that's a fact. So it kind of begs the question, doesn't it? Just what on earth are Microsoft and Sony going on about when they say 8K output? Well, it's kind of a grey area, because in theory what they're really saying is that next gen consoles will have the capability to display on 8K displays when you finally upgrade to one, that is, whether it's just simple capacity to not be completely broken when connecting to an 8K display, or perhaps the possibility of being able to help the upscaling process to 8K, or whether some form of temporal reconstruction is in play, or perhaps Sony will utilize checkerboard technology for its own games while the industry ditches it for really better solutions, as covered in a fairly recent FOXY Games UK video. Just don't get your hopes up is all I'm saying. Yeah, for sure, you might want to temper those expectations, because I'm certain, absolutely certain and convinced you won't be playing the next God of War, Spider-Man or Halo Infinite in 8K on next-gen home consoles. And that's pretty much all there is, folks. So what is the bare minimum you expect from a potentially $500+ console? Do you believe the advances being made in next gen platforms are truly game changing, or just more of the same, more like an iteration of what's come before? What say you? Go ahead, sound off, share your thoughts and opinions on today's news, because that unfortunately brings us to the end of another video. But let's continue the discussion cordially in the comments. And for all your current and next gen news updates, rumor and rampant speculation, why not hit that like button, spread the word and keep it locked to FOXY Games UK. Remember, relevant links where applicable can be found in this video. Subscribe to FOXY Games UK. Remember to hit the notification bell so you never miss content. Thumbs up if you like it here, and help us reach more like-minded gamers simply by sharing this video. Consider supporting FOXY Games UK via Patreon, and or grab yourself a FOXY Games UK branded t-shirt or hoodie, available in various colors and designs. You'll find both links in this video's description. I truly appreciate the support, like true 4K. Now that concludes our time together today, and it was really great hanging out. But just before we go though, in terms of the Gamer Couch podcast, I'm having a bit of trouble since the Google Hangouts was discontinued. I need to upgrade my PC, but I'm in a bit of a dilemma because I want to upgrade to a super high-spec PC in time for next gen, so I really don't have to support Xbox hardware anymore, but still enjoy the games. So either I upgrade now for the sake of the Gamer Couch podcast rather, and perhaps miss out on the latest GPUs, graphics technology for PCs and have to upgrade later, or just wait. So I've decided to wait. So you can catch FOXY Games UK still each and every Sunday from 5 PM EST or 10 PM UK, but it will not be on my channel. We'll be doing it from BitCloud Gaming. I will update you as we get closer to Sunday via Twitter and in a video. But yeah, that's going to be the case for the time being, because I do not want to stop the Game Couch podcast. However, for those of you who do not want to go over to another channel, I will be uploading on my channel. So it will be live on Ryan at BitCloud Gaming's channel, but it will be uploaded immediately to my channel so nobody misses out. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, until the next video, remember, play games, not corporations.